The girl who had spent 10 years in a psychiatric hospital finally returned to her wealthy family, but her stepsister deliberately shut the iron gate and told her to crawl through the dog hole. To everyone's surprise, the girl simply raised her leg and kicked. The heavy iron gate crashed to the ground, leaving her stepsister frozen in shock. Seeing this, her younger stepsister raised a whip to teach her a lesson, but the whip was snatched away by the girl, who lashed it hard across her body. The stepsister rushed forward to help, but was also driven back by a single strike of the whip. Unwilling to accept defeat, the younger stepsister tried to fight again, but the girl looped the whip around her neck, scaring her into calling for her father to save her. Her father used all his strength but could not pry the girl's hand loose. He could only call the bodyguards to attack her together. But even with more than a dozen bodyguards charging at once, the girl still knocked them down with ease, because she was no longer the weak target everyone used to bully. Inside her lived the soul of an ancient female general. Just as both sides reached a stalemate, the head of the richest family suddenly arrived, and immediately stopped her father from making another move, then personally brought the girl back to the richest family, because she had been engaged since childhood to the eldest son of the family. The family had also gave her a bank card worth $10 million, hoping she could help discipline his son. The girl agreed without hesitation, then followed the family head back to the richest family, but the moment she stepped into the living room she froze, because the spoiled young heir standing before her looked exactly like her childhood sweetheart from her previous life. Yet the man looked at her with disdain and told her to leave immediately, saying he would never marry her. To make the girl give up, the man proposed a dice game. Whoever lost would leave. The man rolled 3 sixes, and was feeling extremely proud, but the girl crushed the dice into powder with her bare hand. The man still refused to admit defeat and challenged her to a drinking contest, but on the ancient battlefield the girl had never been defeated in a drinking contest. Even after several bottles of strong liquor, she showed no change in expression. Instead, the man became completely drunk first. The girl personally carried him back to his room, and learned from the butler that after the man's mother jumped to her death years ago, he had spent all these years living alone and enduring the family's cold treatment. The girl immediately felt sympathy for him and decided to stay and take care of him. The next day, the man's friends deliberately invited him to the racetrack, planning to use an untamable fierce horse to embarrass the girl, but the girl recognized it at a glance. It was the warhorse that had fought beside her in her previous life. After gently calming it down, she swung onto its back and galloped across the field, shocking everyone present. His friends were completely stunned, but even so the man still refused the engagement, because he was afraid the girl would be hurt one day just like his mother. However, the second young master of the richest family suddenly called, and used the suicide note left by their mother to threaten him, forcing him to race on a deadly track. To get the note back, the man had no choice but to agree, not knowing that the second young master had already tampered with his car. Shortly after the race began, the brake line suddenly burst, and the vehicle slammed violently into the guardrail. The man was severely injured and collapsed on the spot. The second young master smugly ordered his men to surround him, not only taking photos of his miserable condition and posting them online, but also preparing to break both of his legs. At that moment, the girl suddenly charged into the racetrack on her warhorse, and drove her spear heavily into the ground beside the second young master's feet.